Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get.
So Braxton, as far as the principle number 9, buying assets and avoiding liabilities, can you explain to me from your perspective, what is the difference between an asset and a liability?
An asset makes you money, a liability takes it from you, very simply.
So let's just say that I don't really fully grasp this. I know within my family, there's people that disagree with me on this subject as well. And there are usually people that have a ton of debt.
Yep.
So, but anyway, we'll just throw out that example, that anecdotal example. So here we go. Asset versus a liability. Let's go a car. Is a car an asset or a liability, and why?
A car for the average person is a liability. Unless you're in the car business and you're making money, you're buying cars low and selling them for more, fixing them up, selling them for more. But car for most people, it's a liability because it decreases in value, and most people owe more than what the market value of the car is, and it's a liability.
But when you work with people who are looking to buy a house, you've been in real estate for years, usually you work with people who are trying to buy a commercial property. They will put down their car as an asset.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to almost point out to them like, hey, your car actually is not going to work well for you on the balance sheet. Why do most people think a car is an asset?
Well, I mean, the only way a car would be an asset for them, technically on like a balance sheet, they're looking at it as, well, I own it free and clear, and the car's worth $20,000. If I sold it today, I could sell it for $20,000. And technically that could be considered an asset, but really it's not making them money. It's a car for most people, they owe money on it, and so they're going to sell it for $20,000, but they're going to have to pay the people that really own the loan for $22,000. So it's a liability.
And what about the house? I mean, a lot of people say people have said the house is the best investment you can ever make. A house it's really where you want to put your money. A house is, you want to get a 30-year mortgage on that beast, and that's the best investment you can make. Is that an asset or a liability?
Well, under that scenario, it's a liability because you're going to pay for that house at least twice with a 30-year mortgage, and that value of that house is not going to go up that much. I mean, a house, a property, real estate should increase in value, but for the most part, people they move every 3 or 4 or 5 years, and so if you've never done this, go into Excel or some other program like it, look up amortization schedule. And type in the value of the house that you're buying and the interest rate and the term of your mortgage, and you'll find out very quickly that you're going to spend most of your money in the first 3 or 4 or 5 years on interest, and so it's definitely not a liability. It's definitely not an asset.
I want to throw this out real quick because just an example: if somebody were to buy a house right now, and they bought a house for $300,000, you're saying that they would pay for the house times 2?
Yeah, at least.
So times 2, and this is crazy. I did mortgage consulting just years ago, and I was working with a company, and we found, like what you said, the average person in America lives in a house 3 years at the maximum. That's like the average max. The average maximum is 3. Now you talk about people who are like old school, like like the baby boomers. They tend to live in a house like 10 years, but the first, like you're saying, of a 30-year mortgage, even a 15-year mortgage, those first 3, 4, 5 years are almost all interest.
That's right.
So when you buy a house, And then also you have what, closing costs?
Closing costs and commissions. You might think if you bought a house for, say, $280,000 and now you're selling it for $300,000 and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to make money, but really you got to think about the closing costs and the commissions that you're going to pay whenever you sell that house. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to come out having to pay money at closing, even if what you bought it for is less than what you're selling it for.
Okay, so we're going into the lightning round here. I'm going to throw out a whole bunch of ones for you.
Yeah.
In your mind, is formal education an asset or a liability?
Well, in my mind, it's a liability. I mean, most people leave formal education and go, I owe $100,000 plus, and so is that value really worth it? Now
Let's say that you're like an architect or a doctor,
Yeah.
or an attorney or something where you had to have a degree,
Yeah.
to make that increased income. Like I said, like if I was running around town going, I'm a doctor, I know some things about some stuff, you want me to operate? It probably wouldn't be a good deal, right? But then if I'm like, I have an accreditation, I could maybe...
Yeah, that's an asset for you.
So it's an asset, well, you can say it's an asset if it's like maybe a actual profession.
It's a
like
trade profession.
A trade profession, okay, so if it's a trade profession, then that's going to be an asset. But if it's a liability, would be like if it's a general degree, like communications or
I mean, if you have a psychology degree but you don't have a master's and you don't have a PhD in that, then that's going to be a liability for you because you owe money on something that you're not using. And
now let's go into another one here. What about my monthly expenses on like furniture and clothing? Like I just bought I got a great deal. I got a screaming deal on a sleigh bed.
Yeah.
I got half off on a sleigh bed.
Yeah.
Beautiful furniture. I got this ornamental elephant-looking nightstand sort of deal. Is that?
Well, I mean, it's putting money in your pocket. That's the way I look at it. Is your sleigh bed making you money?
People have offered to pay to look at the sleigh bed. Okay, so you're saying that my furniture is a loss.
Yes.
Okay, a couple more just so we can kind of get it here. Furniture, and I write in Spanglish so the folks at home are universally confused.
Yep.
That's why I choose to write like that. Okay, now what about lottery tickets? I mean, if I'm saying, man, I really feel like I could win, I'm a winner, but I smell like a winner, I know I'm a winner, I'm going to buy this ticket, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Lottery ticket.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an asset if it's a winner, but it's most likely not going to be a winner, so of course it's a liability.
So the casino or the lottery, as a general rule, is a liability.
That's correct.
Now, what are some things that we could put over here in the asset column that everybody watching this could do? Some things that we could put into the asset column, because right now we have. Let's just say we're talking about Joan here, and Joan, if you're watching this and you're offended, I apologize, but we respect you as a person. But let's say Joan makes $50,000 a year. And Joan has a car and a house, she's in a formal education and a student loan and some furniture, and she goes to the casino a little bit. We're telling Joan right now, Joan, you are buying a lot of liabilities. Mm-hmm. And so what are some assets that Joan could buy? Or how can Joan, because how old are you now?
I'm 35.
At the age of 35, have kind of achieved this state of financial freedom where you don't have a house payment. You don't wake up every day being like, oh man, I have to work 70 hours this week just to pay the bills. You're basically kind of financially free, where a lot of people, I read a stat this week that was blowing my mind. And as you guys edit this, maybe we can put the citing on this, but it's over 90% of Americans, when they turn 69 years old, have a negative net worth at the time of retirement. So that means, and also, there was an article that came out that showed that over half of Americans don't like their jobs. So it means that over half of Americans are spending 5/7 of their week working at a job they don't like for nothing. Because when they actually retire, they have more money they owe than what they had to start with. So it means if you graduate from high school right now, if you're in high school right now and you have $0 in the bank, you are ahead of the average 69-year-old after their entire lifetime of earnings. So what can I do to start to move from here to here?
Well, I mean, technically an asset, although I don't recommend this for very long, but cash in the bank is an asset.
Cash, okay, so cash is an asset. So let's just say that I'm Joan, and I have a car payment, a house payment, a formal education payment, what can I do to start to transition from here to here?
Well, for something like a car, I mean, sell that car that you owe money on and buy yourself a car that gets you places that is reasonable and something that you can pay cash for.
Have you ever had a car payment?
I've never had a car payment, and never will I have a car payment.
This just in from our home office off the coast of Delaware. No car payment ever. I also have never had a car payment. And I will tell you that I have researched, I'm going to make up a number here, but probably 100 millionaires at some point in my lifetime, 100 or more. Also, there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And I have discovered that every single one of the millionaires that I've interviewed has never, and I repeat, never, ever had a car payment.
Yeah.
And it's important, if you have one right now, sell that beast. Now, how do you do it? I drove a 1984 Chevy Brown van up until 2009. And my homeowners association made me sell it. You drove.
I have 4 kids, so we have to have a Suburban, and Suburbans are expensive, and the feeling or the temptation can be, hey, you know, I deserve to go out and buy myself a brand new Suburban for $45,000, but I resist that temptation. I've always been able to find nice, good Suburbans that are in good shape that are less than $10,000, and I do that.
Less than $10,000?
Yeah, you can do it. It takes a little bit of work, but if I'm going to drive down the road and, you know, with my 4 kids, and I love my kids, but whether it's $45,000 or $10,000, they're going to trash that car within the first hour. So, and regardless, even if that wasn't the case, I'd figure out a car that fits me, that's going to be something that I can pay cash for, because it's just not worth spending monthly on that car.
I found that kids will look for the most important feature in the car, like the DVD, and they'll be like, I wonder if I took a marker and wrote on that screen what would happen, Dad. And they, you know, or I wonder if I threw up there on that thing, what would happen. And they just kind of destroy all things of value.
And the great thing about that is whenever that rock hits your windshield, your stress level is not nearly as high with a $10,000 car versus a $45,000 car.
Yeah, one thing I like to do is buy a car that's already been keyed. That way if you key it, I don't care. Now, and again, I'm just trying to give you examples specifically if you're watching this, because some of you are like, whatever, you rich jerk. I'm coming from a different place. Well, listen here. I had a 1989 Ford Escort that got, bam, a big dent there on the driver's side, left side, driver's side, bam. Yep. And I drove that vehicle, bought it for $1,500 cash. And my transmission, it was a manual, went out. So I climbed underneath it. And this is an automotive tip. And I took a cell phone, you know, a clip that keeps your cell phone back at the old school when everyone wore a cell phone on their belt. I took that clip and I put it in, and that's what held my transmission together between the years of, hey, don't give me that crazy look, cameraman, between 1999 and 2001, the cell phone clip, bam, from the hip. So, but you've always driven a car that's paid for.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, I'm not going to drive myself a Chevy Brown van, 1984, you can find, I found a number of years ago before we had kids, I found like a 1992 4Runner that was in great shape for like $2,000, and it ran well, and it worked really well for me and my family at that time.
In an attempt to argue with my friend here on camera, if we can look at this over here, I want to show this collection of luxury vehicles. That we bought here, because even though you could spend, like, how much was it? Was $2,000 for a nice vehicle?
Yeah.
For like $1,000, you can get a complete pile of dung that you can drive. And here we go. This was a red truck. I bought that for $500 from a dude. I don't know what his name was. I paid him cash, and I never got the whole, the whole state license thing. I never got that. Okay. Then we have this vehicle. This vehicle was a conversion van I bought from a guy named Russ, who had an aviation business that went out of business, and he started selling cars. I bought this vehicle also from Russ Habib. Russ Habib, if you're watching, I love you, brother. Then we have this vehicle. I had a fleet. Look at that van, like that, a brown van. Woo! I had a fleet of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars, and this big $700,000 house. And I bought all of the 11 cars for a total of $12,000. Yes. So the thing is, if you need to get, the car is just to get you from A to B. It is not for you to like look awesome, right?
That's right.
But you're saying have a little bit of pride, maybe spend a little bit more.
Maybe unless you have a business where you need those cars, maybe take the $12,000 and buy one pretty nice looking car.
He and I might forever disagree, but the point is you want to have a vehicle that's paid for, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, now the house, if I'm in a house right now and I have a payment, I'm paying like $3,000 a month on a mortgage, $2,500 a month on a mortgage, and I think I'm getting ahead, but I'm actually not. Yep. Because I'm not actually going to ever pay the principal in the first 3 years. How can I go ahead and get rid of the house payment to move over here into the asset column?
Well, I mean, this might sound a little extreme, but if you're at a point where you're paying a house payment, I mean, I would go ahead and, I'm a real estate guy, but I would say go ahead and sell that house, try to get as much as you can for it, and rent for a little while and build up some cash and ultimately, if you can pay cash for a house, fix it up, do a little something, add some equity to it, and man, I bought this house for $115,000 and I can sell it for $150,000. There you've got an asset, and you're not paying monthly with interest. And you might be like, man, I don't know if I'll ever get to that point. Well, you're not ever going to get to that point unless you take some action on something else. And having a house payment where you're paying a 30-year mortgage is not going to get you ahead.
Now, Warren Buffett, my main man, he said, be greedy when the market is fearful. So here's kind of my move that I did. I have chosen to not have a house payment because I just think it's stupid. And I know my wife, as soon as we start to really get into a house where we like it, my wife will say, can we redecorate? Now, perhaps maybe you're a woman watching this and you're offended, or you're a man and you're offended by that statement. But the point is, whoever it is, you're going to eventually want to move. Unless you defy all odds, you're going to want to move at some point.
Yeah.
So what I do is I call builders who are in a bind. I just call, boop, 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 boop. I call and I say, do you have any houses that won't sell? And they're like, who's calling? And they usually get offended. But if you call about 20, I'll find 2 or 3 that are like, yeah, I do. I've had one house I'm stuck on. It's at the entry of the neighborhood. And I've done this 3 times. Mm-hmm. It's the first house on the left when you walk in and when you drive in the neighborhood. And they'll say, yeah, it can't sell. I just built it and I can't find a buyer. And I'll say, well, here's the deal. Whatever your construction loan is on that, I'll just pay a lease payment of that plus $500 for 3 years. And they'll say, really? I'm like, yep. And then I pay first month up front, last month up front, and I move in. Mm-hmm. This is my move. So I always live in houses of luxury with no house payment and no obligation. I can move tomorrow, and I seriously have to just tell the dude, I'm moving tomorrow, and then I'm good.
Yeah, and your move is really good because you're not in the real estate business. You have no interest in fixing up stuff. My move's a little bit different because I like to fix up houses. I like to find those kind of things. So my move is I find as cheap of a property as possible in an area that I'm comfortable with. We found a house in a private 3 acres that was just basically a structure, and bought it for super cheap. And
beautiful wooded
area, and they bought it for super cheap. I lived in the $300,000 house and in Tulsa. That's quite a bit for Tulsa. And paid the had a mortgage and all that. And I decided, you know what, I'm in the real estate business. This doesn't make sense, and I have some cash. I'm going to go pay cash for a house that I can fixed it up, and now I have a house that I've put about $100,000 in, and I know it's worth about $175,000. So that is an asset, and that's one other way about going about it. But if you're not that kind of person, if you're not a handyman, or you're not a person that likes to do that kind of thing, your move is better.
The big thing I want to make sure we're clarifying is that you do not want a house payment.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's huge. Now this Thrive is all about getting you from surviving to thriving. That's the whole idea. And so financially, you're going to need capital to invest in your own ideas, and so you're going to have cash available. What am I saying right now if I have furniture, Braxton, and I'm like, I just love buying furniture? What would you say to me if I want to move from the liability? How do I get into the asset column here?
Well, I mean, you want to sit somewhere, so it's not a sin to buy furniture, but just keep it real. I mean, don't just look what you're doing or watch what you're doing. I mean, there's nothing wrong or shameful about going on Craigslist or going to a garage sale and finding something that's quality and not just going straight to the retail store. Keep your furniture at a level that isn't extravagant, and just figure out ways to cut costs in the liability area so that you can have more money to invest in good ideas, invest in people, invest in yourself, and things that are going to make you money.
Now, I want to throw out a real thing for you. This is a little bit terrible, but it's okay. We talked about the vast majority of people when they approach retirement have no money. And Warren Buffett says, be greedy when the market is fearful. And what I've found is if somebody's going through a divorce, that's a great time to buy their couch.
Yep.
Because they're like, we don't care, just get it out of our life. We want to sell it. So what you do is you buy a car from somebody who's going through an emotional time, or somebody who's being fearful, someone who needs to sell it, somebody who's moving, somebody who's being transferred, somebody who has to get rid of it. We'll sell it to you cheap.
Yep.
So the key is to buy stuff half off. All the time. So that's the key. Now, so if I want to buy a few assets, are there some assets? We have cash. Would you recommend that I invest in my own business? If I'm somebody who wants to get ahead, would you invest in your?
That's the most ideal scenario. If you have cash in the bank, too much of it, and you've got to figure out a way to invest in yourself and your own business, or somebody that you trust and somebody that's doing something well.
So invest in a business. Now, the big thing I want to tell you, some of you are watching this and you're saying, I don't know if I want to invest. Isn't that risky? I'm going to throw it out for you. 90% of you will definitely retire with a negative net worth unless you buy a business. So it's actually risky not to, because worst case scenario, you're the 90%. So it's kind of a deal where, it's not actually risky. It's actually risky to not do it. So I'm just throwing that out for you. So, and if you're going, I don't know what kind of business I would start. A franchise is a good idea. You could invest in a friend of yours who has a business that's profitable. Just look for opportunities to put your money into something that actually pays you as opposed to something that costs you.
And I'll say this, stocks are assets, but if you don't know much about the stock market, you're investing in something you really don't know. Now, there's some good, fairly safe investments out there, but if you have somebody that you know that you trust, or preferably yourself, that is a better asset in my mind than investing in stocks if that's not your normal business.
Yeah. Now I'm going to throw this out here for you. It says most people don't know how to manage their money because it's not taught in school, and parents don't know. Not faulting anybody, but I grew up in a home where we didn't have a ton of money, and my dad's an awesome guy, but we just didn't know these financial success tips. So I think it would be hard for my parents to teach them if they didn't know them themselves. But why is it not taught in school? Why is the teacher, the average college professor, the average teacher, why are they not teaching these principles about financial management and how to buy assets in college or high school?
Yeah, we just have this culture of standardization where it's, we're gonna teach to the, no person left behind. And I understand why people get into that and all that, but you've got to take action with your kids and with yourself, figuring out ways to teach them stuff that are not being taught in schools. Because, personal financial planning, what's some of the biggest issues in people's lives is just the way that they manage money. It causes stress, it causes fights, it causes all kinds of stuff. So to me, teaching yourself personal financial planning is more important than teaching yourself calculus, unless you're a calculus, guru.
So moving on to principle number 10, pay the tax man, but not too much. I think there's a certain almost like unpatriotic idea that people have in their mind about taxes, and like, you're not being patriotic if you don't pay taxes, or we're not talking about not paying taxes. But I want to make sure that you're aware of how many taxes you do pay. Mm-hmm. And some ways where the principle is you want to pay the tax man, but not too much. Okay, so we don't want to underpay. And I have been audited before, so I can tell you what that's like from firsthand experience. And Eugene, my incredible IRS agent, I want to thank you for every moment I got to spend with you. It was a special time. A higher income alone does not mean that we're going to get ahead of, that we'll get out of the financial burdens that most people are in. We're basically stuck in this rat race because a lot of people, they make an income, let's say, of $50,000 per year, and they believe that they can live on a lifestyle of $50,000 a year. Yeah. But after taxes, I want to throw this out for you. The average American right now, if you take equals your take home pay. So $50,000 times 0.5, so 50% is your take home pay. Think about that. So the average American after taxes, if you make $50,000 after taxes, you actually only have $25,000. Uh-oh. Could you imagine if you went out there and had budgeted based on $50,000, but you only actually had $25,000? And some of you watching this right now, I think some of you, all of you, are saying, that's not true. I only pay 8.75%, or I only pay 18%, or I live in Florida. I don't have any taxes at all for my income. But you, my friend, are wrong, and I will prove it to you now. So here we go. So here's the thing. $50,000, we have income tax. So with income tax, Florida, Texas don't have income tax, but everybody else does, right?
Yeah.
Then we have property tax. Braxton, do you have any idea what your property tax is? I don't know if I know what mine is right now, but do you know what yours is?
Mine's very low because I've moved to a location that is purposely very low. I just live on the other side of the county line, so that's another tip there. But if you can do that. But for my typical house that I had, $300,000 house in Tulsa County, it was $4,000 a year.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so just real quick, property tax. Then you have property tax, so we don't know what yours would be, but I want you to look at your next. If you have a mortgage, look at this. Figure this out. Your property tax. Then you have sales tax. Now, every time, I don't know about you, but every time I go to the store and I go to buy batteries for like $1, I get a bill for like $1.10. And I'm like, what? I thought it's at 99 cents. You guys said for under, or when I get my cell phone, they say for $59.99 you can have unlimited. my bill's like $74.
Right.
So sales tax will get you.
Yep.
Then we're moving on here. We have luxury tax. What is an example of a luxury tax? Like if I buy a boat, I think if I buy a boat, I have a luxury tax, right? I think if I do airfare now, if you fly on a plane, there's a new tax for that. So if you do anything that's like, because you're just a greedy, person who wants to go on an airplane, then you're going to pay a luxury tax for that, right?
Yeah.
Then we have like if you smoke. So basically, if you smoke, it might be offensive. That's okay. Deal with it. But if you smoke, or if you buy lottery tickets, or if you, I guess smoking would be one. I guess lottery tickets would be excluded. But smoking, alcohol has a tax associated with it. Mm-hmm. Any kind of behavior that might be bad, rather than the government saying you cannot smoke, we just tax you more.
Right.
Make sense? So anything that's like, drinking, there's a tax on it. So if I go buy like a vodka, I'm going to pay a tax on that. So then we have permits.
Permits, yep.
What if you go fishing? You're just wanting to take your kids fishing, Braxton. You ever taken your kids fishing and had to pay a tax on that?
I don't know if I've ever done that, but yeah, fishing or hunting, or you get into business, you got tons of permits for build outs. If you're doing in construction at all, you've got permits.
Now, this is the kind of thing you won't hear anywhere else, but I'm going to tell you this on record. Go ahead, it's fine. I like to go ahead and build first and pay fines later because it avoids permitting. So what I would encourage you is if you own a business, find out what the fine is and then find out what the permit is. And usually it takes about 6 months to get a permit and it takes about like a day to get a fine. So if you just build, then you get a fine, you just pay that fine immediately and you're good, whereas a permit you have to wait. And for me, time is money and I'm only going to live once, so I like to pay fines rather than get permits. Some people would rather get permits, but the point is, either way, the incredible government gets paid. Yeah. And I am so excited about the quality of my roads, and so I just want to pay as much as possible.
And that's the raw and the real right there. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do. But yeah, regardless, one way or the other, you're going to pay permits unless you're my man Clay over here. But that's a good move.
Yeah, that's a move I endorse. I build first, apologize later. And if you're watching this and you work for the government, you're probably on the wrong website because it's called Thrive, not just Survive. But we're at survive.com. This would be a great site for you. So here we go. Moving on. Here. Now we have Toll Booth Willie. Toll booths. Uh-oh. Toll booths. Now if you go through by a toll booth, that's not a tax. Right? I mean, we go through the toll booth.
Oh, it's a tax.
Come on. It's a fee. It's not a tax.
Oh, well, okay. It's going to the government.
So it's a tax. You convinced me. Okay. So now we move on. Now we go into a franchise tax. This is my favorite tax. This is the tax that I didn't go to church and really ask for. I didn't do a special prayer of thankfulness for this particular tax, but I got close. I was the deal where I felt special when I paid this tax. I remember my first year in our business, once we hit like $1 million of revenue, I got a bill that says my franchise tax. And it was 1% of the value of all the stuff I own, just because. So I was like, this is a new tax that I am thankful for. I just want to thank whoever came up with this for this great way, because I love our government and I love our roads, and I just want to pay more. So you got the franchise tax, right? Then we have a cell phone. We talked about that a little bit. We have a cell phone usage tax. Have you looked at your cell phone usage tax?
I don't even look at my cell phone bill anymore.
You need to look at that.
Just how to pay that thing.
No, this will make you happy. If you feel sad,
all those extra fees, yeah.
This will take your frown and turn it upside down if you just look at that cell phone.
Yeah, it's one of those things I can't control, so I just don't look at it.
Okay, well, you're missing out on joy. I'm just gonna. Okay, then you have travel tax. We talked about that. Gas tax. Now this is something that'll blow your mind. Anybody who's into like the Illuminati, the end times, the conspiracy, the black helicopters, that whole deal, just look up how much money you spend on gas tax. It'll blow your mind. You'll be more upset about that than any black helicopters. Trust me, you'd rather have government officials tapping your phones than paying gas tax. Like half of the cost of gas is tax. So gas tax is absolutely monumental here. Then we move into vehicle tag. Braxton, do you remember when you paid for that sweet Suburban cash? Mm-hmm. And then remember paying for that sweet.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that feeling?
You got to go to that, stand in that line at the DMV, and you've got to pay that tax and that tag.
I can practically hear the national anthem in my mind just playing as I pay that tax, because I'm a patriotic, just civic oh, I felt so good when I paid that
Yeah.
tag. Now, other taxes, is there any other taxes that I'm not thinking of that you're aware of?
Man, you're covering pretty much all of them, I think.
I've got a few more that I want to throw out because I just thought of them. Now, they're not coming from a place of bitterness. This is happiness. I love paying these taxes. We have Medicare, right? And I think, by the way, I think that the government's ability to manage their budget shows that we should give them more money. So they can keep a balanced budget, so I just want to keep giving them more and more. But Medicare tax, we have Social Security, which if you guys get a chance to see what our national debt is right now, I'm pretty sure it's zero, but Social Security is a great thing to invest in. I love that one. And then we have, what else? I think we have, well, I think that's about it almost.
Yeah, there's more, but I don't.
The point is you're going to go from 50,000 to 25,000, and you just need to just hug an American flag and say thank you for all the taxes you get to pay. But it can be a problem if you're budgeting based on that.
Yeah.
Now, the only way that I know to reduce your tax liability is to own a business.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
So we'll have other episodes about this. You can check out Thrive and look at all these things up. But if you own a business, there's certain write-offs you can take, because the theory is if you are an employer, you'll probably hire more people than an employee.
Yeah.
So there's probably a dude right now at Best Buy who maybe brings a team of employees with him every day. But as a general rule, employers hire more people than employees, and thus they're going to give you a little bit of a tax write-off there. Mm-hmm. So you might only have to pay, instead of $25,000 of tax, you might only have to pay, let's say, $15,000 of tax. So you can pay less tax if you own a business.
And I think it's important to note that if you're a business owner, it's very important to budget this way, but it's also worth your money to hire somebody that's a good tax professional. It's going to be much cheaper for you in the long run. You might think, man, I'm paying this person whatever, $600 a year to do my taxes or more, or whatever it is. But it's worth it because you just sort of go, you know what, I'm not going to focus on so much this stuff that I can't really control. I'm going to let them do it. I'm going to let them do it well. I'm going to let them save me some money and get me through what is legal to get through to get that tax liability down.
I will say this, on Thrive, we have some accountants that'll be on the shows, different episodes, like Marvin Morris will be on here. He'll teach you some great things. We're not tax professionals, but what we can say is that we all know we do pay a lot of taxes, and I 100% agree with what Braxton just said. It's super important that you start to view paying a tax professional as an asset, because it helps you save money, as opposed to a liability where you're just trying to hack your way through taxes. Because I have been audited before, and even though that created a unique opportunity for that IRS agent, Eugene, for her and I to bond in a special way, I would recommend you want to avoid that by paying a tax professional.
Yeah, I mean, I have an accounting degree. That was my degree in college, and I worked for Ernst & Young, one of the large accounting firms in the country, and I still pay a tax professional. I do not do my own taxes because they can save me more money. It's not my core business, and it takes the burden off of me. I'd rather focus on things that I can control, things that I'm good at, and it's worth it in the end.
Now we're moving on to principle number 11, which is take the emotion out of money. Now this right here is a concept that I struggled with for a while, because to me, growing up without certain things, I wanted things. Like I used to think that my definition of happiness was to buy as much materialistic goods as possible that I could then leave on the planet when I died. That was my plan though. And so let's just kind of get into this here. Money decisions are often emotional decisions, and that is not good. Why?
Well, I mean, because your feelings aren't reliable. You can all agree that your feelings are great, and it's important to, though, just control them. If I look at it as a game, I like nice stuff. I like to enjoy life. I love to travel. I like all that stuff. But if you look at it, so, my feelings are unreliable, and really my choices, my will, the deeper part of me, that's going to be the part that I'm going to let lead rather than my feelings. Your decision making when it comes to money, if it's run by your feelings, you're never going to get ahead.
I'm going to throw some examples of feelings, and I'll use an epic voice. That way we can have it represented by kind of a wise sounding voice. But the feelings might say, well, Braxton, you deserve a new car. You deserve it.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, I'd say, okay, I deserve to enjoy getting ahead. I've got other things I want to do with my money, and while that car is nice, I'm just going to tell my feelings, get out of here. I can find a car that's $30,000 less. What could I do with that $30,000? I could grow it, and I could enjoy seeing my money grow and continue to do things that I like to do.
Here we go. This is a tough one, though. You're at the mattress store. Don't act like you haven't been to the mattress store. You know you've been there. I go there. We've all been there. You go in. The guy says,
I experienced this recently.
You deserve to have the comfort of a sleep comfort bed. You adjust the number, and it helps your lumbar and your overall circular system, and you live forever, and it's only $10 a month. Finance now. No money down. What would you say to your feelings there?
Well, I'd say to my feelings, it's going to be much better. I did this recently. Tempur-Pedic, $7,000, needed a new mattress, and I tried something. I tried buying the memory foam mattress off of Walmart.com. I know this sounds cheap, but it worked, man. That thing is like $279, and
memory foam
shipped it to my house. It's like the 8-inch memory foam.
Memory foam.
And my wife's very picky about her mattress, but she liked this one, so check that one out. But I was so much better off for just trying that cheaper version at first, and if it didn't work, whatever. But I'm not going to buy a $7,000 mattress, because what can I do with that $7,000? It's going to increase and then be able to do more and more things and not be bound by monthly payments and my money. Buy memory foam, yeah.
that's a new. Okay, now just a couple more examples. I feel like a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be talking about this if 90% of us were not going to end in financial peril at the age of 69. Now, Braxton, I wouldn't be hammering this point if the overwhelming majority of us as Americans or worldwide humans weren't getting into debt here. But just one more. You're going to, you're going online. All of a sudden, you see a house. And you see a beautiful house, and because of the interest rates right now, maybe you're watching this in 10 years from now and the interest rates are different, but right now the interest rates are so low that you absolutely cannot invest. You can't pass up the opportunity to buy a house. I mean, the interest rates are so low, the home is the best investment you'll ever make. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you tell your emotions when they start to say, you should buy a house?
Yeah, and then the mom and the mother-in-law want you to settle down and all that stuff. And in the National Association of Realtors, which I'm a member of, they actually put out radio ads and TV ads, and they're trying to build their business, and I get it, but they're telling you, hey, the interest rates have never been lower, there's never been a better time to buy a house, and everyone's saying, hey, you got to buy a house because that's what everybody does. And you just got to remember, you got to remind yourself, you know what, is this my move? Is this my core business? Is this the thing I'm going to do? Because most of the time it's not. And it's not 4 or 5% of your money that is going to interest in that first year. It's 95 to 97% of your payment to that bank or lending institution in that first year, and really just a little bit less in the second and a little bit less in the third. But most of your money is going towards interest. It is not going towards the value of your home. So you just have to remind yourself of these common sense things that really are not that common. But you have to remind yourself, hey, you know what? My $1,000 house payment, it's better to go somewhere else. I'll rent somewhere for a little cheaper to give me more flexibility. I'm not going to be paying closing costs and interest. I'm going to put my money into something that's a core business, somebody that I trust, or myself preferably.
And you're basically renting the house from the bank.
Oh, sure. That's really what it is. The bank owns your house unless you've paid for it free and clear, or you have, unless you only have like a loan for 10 or 25, even 25% of the house. That's still not ideal, but most people own only maybe 2% of their house.
And I have an extreme view that might be a little crazier, but once we pay off the house, we still keep paying taxes for the house?
You still keep paying taxes and all that. And plus, once you paid off the house, you've paid twice what the house was originally bought for, so you're probably still not ahead. I've met so many people that have bought houses. They've lived in the house for 10 years, and they're going, even if I sold this house, I wouldn't make money because I've spent this how much I spent.
Now here's some situations that Braxton and I worked together in commercial real estate for a while, and these are situations, we would come back from meetings sometimes feeling like, oh man, that's a bad deal. But we would meet men, typically, who had been very successful. They made a lot of money, I should say, who are 40, 50, 60, 70, who had earned millions of dollars, who had a building paid for with cash. that they could not sell. They paid for it twice after interest.
Yeah.
And they're 60 or 70 and they still had to keep working because they couldn't sell their building.
Yeah, and this isn't just in a down market. This is in a pretty steady market. Tulsa is not a up and down market, but I mean, there's a time and a place to buy a building, but if it needs to be part of your core business though. If it's not part of your core business, rent, and you put your money into a core business that you have or that you're part of.
Now, as we're continuing to talk about the concept of taking the emotion out of money here, look on the last page here. You know, Tim Mullany, on March 21st of 2013, there was an article in USA Today where he showed that 69% of Americans have debt. So obviously they're not taking the emotion out of decisions. And this isn't debt like they're buying a business. This is debt like they owe money on the refrigerator. Why is that in your mind?
Well, I mean, it's because it's the easiest route. It's the easiest way to get what you want, and it's all based on feeling. It's all based on emotion. I mean, it seems like, well, why would I go and buy a used refrigerator? I don't have the money to buy a nice new refrigerator, but I want that nice new refrigerator. So why don't we just use this credit card? We'll figure it out later. And that's a really you're putting yourself into a bind when you do that.
Now, it seems really obvious looking at it now that in order to become wealthy, you need to have more money coming in than money coming out. It seems obvious that that's kind of like the deal. But it seems as though most people that I meet never really have more money coming in than coming out. It seems like no matter how much they make, they have the same amount coming out. And I really think it comes down to the emotional
And
decisions.
you can easily justify anything in your mind. I mean, we can talk ourselves, especially smart people. You're smart, just understand that you can argue with yourself really well. You can tell yourself why something will work, and that you just got to take that emotion. You've got to almost fight with yourself a little bit and just let that deeper part of you win. Just make sure you understand don't just follow your feelings. That's a very common thing we hear. Just follow your feelings. Just do
Go with your gut,
right.
bro.
Go with your gut. You know, and a lot of times you got to fight that feeling and just say, you know what, I'm going to play a little game with myself here, and I'm going to take the common sense, which isn't really common, but the rational sense of me, and I'm going to do something that is different than what everybody else around me is doing.
As a marketing guy, I just want to share with you a final kind of a capstone thought, and I want to get your thoughts on this as we kind of wrap up this concept of getting into financial freedom. As a guy who really understands marketing, I will tell you, if I am a bank, I want to convince you that the best thing you could possibly do is to borrow money. If I own a bank, if I'm selling refrigerators, I'm going to convince you that the best possible thing to do is to buy a refrigerator, no money down. If I own any product or service, I'm trying to sell it, my job is to try to convince you that my product solves your problem in a unique way and it's worth buying. So don't make your decisions based off of marketing ads, and make your decisions based off of solid, non-emotional.
I think in general in your life, not just financial decisions. This works for financial decisions. It works for all kinds of decisions. Don't sacrifice the important for the immediate. Don't sacrifice the important for the immediate. Don't just go, what's immediate, the thing that I need immediately. Focus all your attention. Really, what's important? What is the important thing right now, not just the immediate thing? And one thing that we talked about in another session that we can refer to, but you got to budget your money. You got to take the emotion out of it by just saying, just like you would with a schedule, I'm going to schedule my time. I'm going to take a budget and make it simple, and I'm going to account for every dime that I've got. And so I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit there. Well, a great place to go for that is Dave Ramsey's Gazelle budget.
Oh.
And the Gazelle budget, you can just Google that, Dave Ramsey Gazelle budget, and it's very simple. And it's not free. It's $10 a month, but it's worth it because it's formatted in a really good way. It's worth the $10 a month.
And I want to say this, and then I would like to leave you because I know that everybody watching this, you can achieve financial freedom. And financial freedom simply means that you're free to pursue the activities, passions, hobbies, relationships that you want to pursue, and you're not burdened by this infinite desire to work. But to do it, it does require some sacrifice. I've driven a really terrible vehicle for years. I've not had air conditioning for a while. When we first got married, I didn't have air conditioning in Oklahoma for almost 2 years. It's like 100 degrees, no AC. I don't have cable today. Do you have cable?
I don't have cable.
So we made sacrifices, but ultimately, if you want to achieve financial freedom, you have to say no to some things to say.
And
yes.
I'll say this: you and I can afford cable. We could. Now we're at a point where it works. We've gotten into a habit at a fairly early age, just based off of some good advice from mentors that we've had in the past. But we've gotten into this thing where now we're really, for me, it's I can afford cable, just to have it. But I've chosen, you know what? I've gotten into this mentality of, you know what, is that really good? Is that really a good use of my money? Because I can take that money and do other things. I can take my kids out to eat. I can invest in a business. I can go on a trip. I can do things that I enjoy to do, and I can. It's not all about just getting the assets, but taking that money that you're spending on stuff that really isn't that useful. It's just because everybody else has it, and use it for something worthwhile.
Braxton, I appreciate your time for coming in here and for just letting me just gaze at the majestic beauty that is your hair. And I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old, but I've never had the two-time Heisman Award winning Tim Tebow come present. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Also, this is the first Thrive Time Show event that we've had where we're going to have a man who has built a $100 million net worth.
Wow.
Who'll be presenting. Now, we've had a couple presenters that have had $1 billion net worth in some like real estate sort of things.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've had a guy who's built a service business, and he's built over $100 million net worth in the service business. It's the yacht driving, multi-state living guru of franchising. Peter Taunton will be in the house. This is the founder of Snap Fitness, the guy behind 9 Round Boxing. He's going to be here in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. JT, why should everybody want to hear what Peter Taunton has to say?
Oh, because he's incredible. He's just a fountain of knowledge. He is awesome. He has inspired me listening to him talk. And not only that, he also has, he practices what he teaches. So he's a real teacher. He's not a fake teacher like business school teachers. So you got to come learn from him.
Also, let me tell you this, folks. I don't want to get this wrong because if I get it wrong, someone's going to say, you screwed that up, buddy. So Michael Levine, this is Michael Levine. He's going to be coming. You say, who's Michael Levine? I don't get this wrong. This is the PR consultant of choice for Michael Jackson, for Prince, for Nike, for Charlton Heston, for Nancy Kerrigan, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times best-selling authors he's represented, including pretty much everybody you know who's been a super celebrity. This is Michael Levine, a good friend of mine. He's going to come and talk to you about personal branding and the mindset needed to be super successful. The lineup will continue to grow. We have hit Christian recording artist Colton Dixon in the house. Now, people say, Colton Dixon's in the house? Yes, Colton Dixon's in the house. So if you like top 40 Christian music, Colton Dixon's going to be in the house performing. The lineup will continue to grow each and every day. We're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup. But I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, when's it going to be? June 27th and 28th. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And so it says Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrive Time Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. So when? June 27th and 28th. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
James, did I tell you my good friend John Lee Dumas is also joining us at the in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show Business Workshop? That Tim Tebow and that Michael Levine will be at. Have I told you this?
You have not told me that.
Oh, he's coming all the way from Puerto Rico. This is John Lee Dumas, the host of the chart-topping EOFire.com podcast. He's absolutely a living legend. This guy started a podcast after wrapping up his service in the United States military, and he started recording this podcast daily in his home, to the point where he started interviewing big-time folks like Gary Vaynerchuk, like Tony Robbins, and he just kept interviewing bigger and bigger names, putting out shows day after day. And now he is the legendary host of the EO Fire podcast, and he's traveling all the way from Puerto Rico to Tulsa, Oklahoma to attend the in-person June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshop. If you're out there today, folks, you've ever wanted to grow a podcast, a broadcast, you want to improve your marketing, if you've ever wanted to improve your marketing, your branding, if you've ever wanted to increase your sales, you want to come to the 2-day interactive June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show Business Workshop featuring Tim Tebow, Michael Levine, John Lee Dumas, and countless big-time super successful entrepreneurs. It's going to be life-changing. Get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. James, what website is that?
thrivetimeshow.com.
James, one more time with more enthusiasm.
thrivetimeshow.com.
Shine, everything rides on tonight. Even if I got 3 strikes, I'ma go for it. This moment, we own it. I'm not to be played with because it could get dangerous. See these people I ride with. This moment, we own it.
Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow. You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan?
We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot-coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what you're saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say.
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business, and I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I am not using, and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. The linear workflow for us in getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side.
Once I saw what they were doing, I knew I had to get here at the conference. This is probably the best conference or seminar I've ever been to in over 30 years of business.
You're not bored. You're awake, alive the whole time. It's not pushy. They don't try to sell you a bunch of things.
I was looking to learn how to just get control of my life, my schedule, and just get control of the business.
Planning your time, breaking it all down, making time for the F6 in your life, and just really implementing it and sticking with the program.
It's really lively. They're pretty friendly, helpful, and very welcoming.
I attended a conference a couple months back, and it was really the best business conference I've ever attended.
At the workshop, I've learned a lot about time management, really prioritizing what's the most important.
Biggest takeaways are, you want to take a step-by-step approach to your business. Whether it's marketing, what are those 3 marketing tools that you want to use, to human resources.
Some of the most successful people and successful businesses in this town, their owners were here today because they wanted to know more from Clay, and I found that to be kind of fascinating.
The most valuable thing that I've learned is diligence. That businesses don't change overnight. It takes time and effort, and you got to go through the ups and downs of getting it to where you want to go.
He actually gives you the roadmap out. I was stuck, didn't know what to do, and he gave me the roadmap out step by step.
We've set up systems in the business that make my life much easier, allow me some time freedom.
Here you can ask any question you want. They guarantee it'll be answered.
This conference motivates me and also give me a lot of knowledge and tools.
It's up to you to do it. Everybody can do these things. There's stuff that everybody knows, but if you don't do it, nobody else can do it for you.
I can see the marketing working. And it's just an approach that makes sense.
Probably the most notable thing is just the income increase that we've had.
Everyone's super fun, it's super motivating. I've been here before, but I'm back again because it motivates me.
Your competition's going to come eventually, or try to pick up these tactics. So if you don't, somebody else will.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live 2 years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
If you decide to not attend the Thrive Time workshop, you're missing out on a great opportunity.
The atmosphere of Clay's office is very lively. You can feel the energy as soon as you walk through the door, and it really got me and my team very excited.
If you decide not to come, you're missing out on an opportunity to grow your business. Bottom line.
Love the environment. I love the way that Clay presents and teaches. It's a way that not only allows me to comprehend what's going on, but he explains it in a way to where it just makes sense.
The SEO optimization, branding, marketing. I've learned more in the last 2 days than I have the entire 4 years of college.
The most valuable thing that I've learned, marketing is key. Marketing is everything.
Making sure that you're branded accurately and clearly. How to grow a business using Google reviews, and then just how to optimize our name through our website also.
Helpful with a lot of marketing, search engine optimization, helping us really rank high in Google.
The biggest thing I needed to learn was how to build my foundation, how to systemize everything and optimize everything, build my SEO.
How to become more organized, more efficient.
How to make sure the business is really there to serve me as opposed to me constantly being there for the business.
New ways of advertising my business as well as recruiting new employees.
Group interviews, number one. Before we felt like we were held hostage by our employees. Group interviews has completely eliminated that because you're able to really find the people that would really be the best fit.
Hands-on how to hire people, how to deal with human resources, a lot about marketing, and overall just how to structure the business, how it works for me, and also then how that can translate into working better for my clients.
The most valuable thing I've learned here is time management.
I like the 1 hour of doing your business is real critical if I'm going to grow and change.
Play really teaches you how to navigate through those things and not only find freedom, but find your purpose in your business and find the purposes for all those other people that directly affect your business as well.
Everybody.
Everyone
Everyone needs to attend the conference because you get an opportunity to see that it's real.